welcome back to the Not My Scene podcast, the podcast where we explore different scenes, communities, subcultures, and corners of the internet and tell you what we find. I'm Yarden.
I'm Kaya, and today we have a very special dear friend of the pod, first guest, Meggie.
Hi, it's nice to meet everyone.
We're so excited to have you. And Meggie is actually staying in my apartment right now, and we tried for about an hour plus to record in the same room, but I don't think we had the advanced tech setup necessary.
It was just too complicated.
Okay, should we say what today's topic is, or should we do or what is our scene first?
I would love to hear about what your scenes have been lately before we dive in.
Meggie, do you want to go first, or should I show you how it's done?
I think you should show me how it's done, Kaya.
Okay, so this is a new segment that we've introduced on the pod where we talk about what is our scene. And I'm going to kind of shoehorn a story that I just have to share with you guys into this segment today, because it's just like the craziest thing that happened to me over the weekend. But I'll preface it by saying my scene has been skiing lately. So I was skiing. That was the activity that I was engaging in, and it was fun. But I literally... have you ever seen I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson?
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived that this weekend. I was skiing with a friend, and we went into the lodge to get lunch, and it was really crowded. So we sat at a table with this middle-aged married couple, and they were probably in their late 60s, I would guess. And they had brought their food from home. So they had, this is important, they had satsumas, they had seeded crackers, and they had hard-boiled eggs. And they were eating this food in front of us, and we're minding our business, whatever, eating. And then all of a sudden, the guy is like, "Oh, fuck, Jim's here." And I turn, and he's like, "Hide it, hide it, hide it." And I turn around, because I'm like, oh my God. Is Jim the head of the lodge, and he's going to be you can't be eating food that you didn't buy here or something? And Jim is walking over, and he's also this middle-aged dude, and he looks like the nicest guy ever, and he has a huge grin on his face. Okay, so he's not mad at all. And the guy's finish your egg. And he shoves his hard-boiled egg into his lap, and then he picks it up and really fast shoves the egg into his mouth. The whole egg.
And he swallows it like a snake.
Yes. And then his wife is I can't finish it. I can't finish it that fast. And she's freaking out. And Jim is walking over. And he's then take it to the bathroom and finish it there. And Jim comes over, and she immediately gets up, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to the bathroom," and walks away just fully was "Yep, that's a good idea. I'm going to the bathroom with the egg." And it was so crazy, because at first I was they weren't hiding the rest of their food. I thought that they were scared about having food at all, but it was so egg centered.
And you don't know why?
No. And so then she comes back, and they're chit-chatting, whatever. She doesn't have the egg anymore. The egg has been taken care of in the bathroom. But then, literally, so they talk for 10 minutes, and then Jim gets up to get water, and it's literally the moment Jim leaves, I realize they have not been paying attention to the conversation at all. They've just been thinking about the egg, because Jim gets up, and the moment he turns his back, they're "That was a close call."
Oh my God.
And the husband was "Thank God I got rid of the shells earlier." It was so egg-centered. It was the weirdest thing. And I have no idea why.
Okay, wait. I'm thinking of possible explanations. What if Jim is their doctor, and he was you need to cut down your cholesterol?
Yeah.
Shoves the egg in her. Yeah, that's a good theory.
I-
Our working theory was, oh yeah, go Meggie.
I was like, maybe he's vegan and like he doesn't like his friends seeing his friends eat eggs.
And they
Yeah,
told him they were gonna go vegan too.
That's what we thought. Like maybe they all started a
Yeah.
vegan journey together and then they didn't tell Jim. But it's so weird because like they clearly invited Jim to have lunch with them. So I don't know why you would even bring the egg if you knew that Jim was coming.
Total disaster waiting to happen.
Completely.
That's so funny though. Were you guys
Dude, it
just
was-
dying?
My friend was like telling me a story as this was all happening, and I had to apologize after because I was like, I literally did not hear a single word I could not perceive of a single word you were telling me because I was so locked into like the most insane thing happening behind me.
That was a close call.
Dude, if you can't finish it, take the egg to the bathroom and finish it there. Imagine a man telling you to take an egg to a bathroom and you're like, yeah, I will do that. Good idea, husband.
I'm so glad I married you. You have the best ideas.
It was so crazy.
Imagine like going to the bathroom and you see a woman like hunched over the trash can eating an egg.
Oh, the other thing that was crazy that supports the vegan theory is that I was actually watching the guy peel the egg before Jim showed up, and he did such a bad job. Like, you know, when you do a bad job peeling a hard-boiled egg and it's like really takes chunks out of the white.
Yeah.
So maybe they had just reintroduced eggs into their diet because it was like such a shoddy egg peel job.
He was clearly like out of practice.
Yeah. He was rusty. Yeah. Our only other working theory was that maybe Jim was like their egg supplier and they had gotten the eggs from somewhere else. Or because of the egg shortage, they were all eating eggs that morning. Like maybe they were staying at the ski resort. And then they were like, oh, there's not enough eggs to pack for our lunches. But they just took 2, even though there weren't 3.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good theory. Yeah. So, scenesters, write in if you have an idea of what was going on with the egg. Because it was literally like, I felt like I was being punked. Like they were being it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And like the fact that they doubled down when he stood up and were like, oh, that was close was just like so absurd.
It's like that
and
show, like What Would You Do or something where they plant actors. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It is such an I think you should leave skit as well. Like when you said that, I was like, oh, is it going to be like a specific skit happen to her? I wasn't expecting that it would be like
Original
literally,
content.
like, its own original content.
It was so weird, man. I don't know.
All right. Meggie, what about you?
Scene?
Recently, my scene I have 2 things. My scene has been doing cross stitch. I'm really into cross stitch. So I have a lot of really elaborate stitching that I've been doing. And the other one is I've been really watching Desperate Housewives.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Which was a lot of people's scenes when it came out a very long time ago. They do like the most insane stuff in the show, but it is just like, what is going to happen next? They are all like so insane. That's just really...
I watched a few episodes because an old roommate and current friend was really into it when we lived together. And it was interesting. I feel like it's like so suburban. Like they're such housewives. Like the like set is like, it reminds me of like, it's just like, it's so cul-de-sac, you know?
What is the
Yeah.
premise? Is it just like a drama?
The premise is that it's like 4 women live on this cul-de-sac, and it's just like what happens in the cul-de-sac, and they like never meet anyone new, and they like play poker together, and like just like crazy stuff happens to them. Like
They're desperate.
but, and the show starts because it's one of the 5th friend kills herself. And so it's like, well, why did she kill herself? And then so it's like the 4 friends are sort of like dealing with like what could have happened. And like, so like some weird stuff is happening like a lot of the plot is like based on the fact that like, why did this woman kill herself? Like, why was she so desperate? And then it's like, it all sort of like cycles in from there.
That's a different like meaning of desperate than I thought when I was watching like a random episode. I thought it was just like they're having affairs, they're desperate. But that is kind of a darker.
Because I feel like that's like the main way desperate is used nowadays. Is like thirsty.
They are definitely like very horny, but I don't. But I think they mean desperate in the way of like they're doing crazy stuff and they like get into these like terrible situations and have to deal with it. Because it's a lot like husbands cheat and then like they're in like bad financial situations and like they need to get money. Like it's more stuff like that.
I'm gonna have to watch.
It's pretty good.
Or return to it.
It's pretty good when you need something like totally insane that like does not make that much sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
That relates to one of my scenes, which is I have been watching a lot of Real Housewives, and I used to always get them confused when I was a kid.
They both just seemed like so inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're housewives. And the Real Housewives are pretty desperate too.
Yeah.
But it's like a bunch of the franchises are like wrapping up their season right now. So there's like a lot of finales and reunions happening. I've been watching New York, Salt Lake City, and Beverly Hills. But Beverly Hills is definitely my favorite.
Ooh.
You're watching multiple housewives at once? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, how do you keep them straight?
Do you, like, how do I have the time? Is that the question?
I don't know. I just
It's
I
like
don't think
they
of them.
each
They're
come
like
out
airing
with,
simultaneously.
yeah, they're airing because there's so many. Like, there's so many different franchises. Like, they can't have them each individually like run at separate times.
There's not enough weeks in the year.
They can't stop the housewives from doing crazy shit in the off season, so they have to just have them all going all at once all the time.
Literally.
It's like Love Island, how it's like 3 hours of TV like the entire time they're on the island. Like, how could they possibly have that much content to release it like every single day?
I know.
For 3
And like they're
hours?
always
Yeah.
like they cut so much, and I'm like,
Yeah, and it's like, what could they possibly be cutting?
yeah, they're just cutting like anytime they're talking about like not the relationships.
Anytime there's bad
Yeah,
chat.
we're missing like the friendship.
Yeah,
Bad chat. Or maybe like challenges that flop.
True.
Like, did you guys see the challenge where they were spitting the ketchup into each other's mouths?
No,
It's so funny.
It was
the challenges
so...
are usually so lame.
This one was not lame. This one was like horrifying. It was like Fear Factor. Like, they had them all lined up. And it was like 4th of July themed, so it was like barbecue themed. And so it was like different ingredients from a barbecue, and there was like 10 of them in a line, and they had to go mouth to mouth, passing it into a bowl at the end of the line. But then they did ketchup,
Disgusting.
and it was like just so much spit ketchup, and by the end it was like transparent. It was so, and they were all gagging. It was actually crazy. It was like that episode of The Bachelor where all the bachelorettes, they had like hot dogs and sausages on strings, and they were whipping them around and hitting them in their faces.
Dude, the
Yeah,
things that
yes.
make people do on like reality shows are crazy.
Yeah.
Psychological
Torture
warfare.
them.
No, insane.
All right. Also, you guys, I think our listeners need to know that it's Kaya's birthday. By the time you
I'm
listen
21.
to it,
Buy me a
shot.
drink.
Also, earlier today, we were listening to a Spotify jam, Kaya and I, and then Meggie was also in the room. But Kaya and I were remotely on a jam, which we do often during the workday. And I cued the song Birthday Cake by Rihanna. And then Meggie and I were listening to it, and we were like, this is actually the least birthday song, because she literally is like, it's not even my birthday. Like,
So really, every other song is more of a birthday song because it's possible that the singer could be having a birthday that day.
But she's saying like explicitly, this is not my birthday.
But she's just clarifying.
I'm
like,
just using a metaphor.
like Umbrella is more of a birthday song.
Yeah. So.
California King Bed, more of a birthday song.
Exactly.
Thank you for the birthday shout out.
Everyone, when you listen to this, give Kaya, send Kaya some birthday love, even though it'll be much later. Should we get into the topic?
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a special topic for today with our special guest, Meggie. We are here today to discuss Cookfluencers. Woo!
So what we mean by cookfluencers is basically different types of food personalities, I would say. You've got your folks that are more connected to an actual like journalistic institution, like the Bone App people. We've got our Alison Romans, and then we also want to talk about just more of the homegrown influencers that are showing up kind of everywhere on Instagram and TikTok.
Exactly. It's like internet-based chefs, basically. Chefs in the age of the internet.
And like specifically, I would say like home chefs, like not like restaurateurs.
Yeah, more like recipe developers.
Yeah. And I feel like Meggie and I we got into Alison Roman together, which is why I thought to do this episode with her, like a lot of people did during COVID. But we got into making a lot of her recipes, and then we'll talk about kind of her mini-cancellation and all of that. But before we started recording tonight, we did get in the mood by making an Alison Roman recipe.
Ooh, what did you make?
We made the stew. Sorry.
Love. No, that's a good one.
#the stew.
So good. Also the subject of some controversy, right?
Yeah.
Because like
should we just talk about Alison Roman now?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk
start.
Alison Roman.
Obviously, Alison Roman is a recipe developer. She was on New York Times Cooking, and when Yarden and I first started to follow her, people were like really getting into her recipes because they thought that they were really good for COVID. Because people were getting more into home chefing and everything.
And she had some good like shelf stable recipes. Like the anchovy shallot pasta is like you could make that during the pandemic without going to the grocery store for like 2 weeks.
So but basically she had this meteoric rise. Everyone was talking about her. Everyone was really into all of her recipes, her shelf stable recipes and everything like that. And she had this interview. Do you know who interviewed her, Yarden? Do you remember?
I don't.
Basically,
I think it was multiple, though.
Oh, always thought...
She was on a roll.
I always thought that she got interviewed once, and they basically were like, oh, like, where do you see your career going in, like, 5 to 10 years? And she said that she didn't want her career to be like Chrissy Teigen or, like... Marie Kondo. And basically they were like, oh, that's really like inappropriate to say because these are like people of color that were like obviously actually like very successful and more successful than Alison Roman was. And so for her to be like like talking bad about them was like inappropriate. And so she got canceled. That was what I thought it was.
But I think I guess I'm not sure if it's the same interview, if it was separate instances. It doesn't really matter. But
I guess it does change the tone a little bit.
If she was like going to different people and each interview being like, I don't want to be like this person of color.
Yeah.
Wait, really? I feel like the first one I feel like the other way is worse, to be like, I don't want to be, Chrissy Teigen or Marie Kondo, like in the same sentence. Mm-hmm. But basically she was kind of like, she was shit talking them for like selling products at Target pretty much, right?
Yeah. Which she does not sell products at Target. And unfortunately, after making those comments, she never will.
Yeah, and like I think she was specifically also critiquing Marie Kondo for advocating people get rid of stuff and then selling them more stuff.
Oh, I mean, she's just selling them a book, right? And it's like a tiny book. I was given it by a roommate once. Isn't that funny?
That's
For a
really
roommate to give you a book that's titled
Yeah.
The Magical Art of, or like Joy of Tidying Up.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Well, but I think she has like Tupperware and stuff now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think it's the selling of the Tupperware.
But then people were also like calling into question Alison Roman's recipes. And she's not the only one that does this, but how a lot of like white cookfluencers will basically like use techniques that are usually used in like cuisines from other cultures, but just like not call it that. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, like the stew,
stew.
using like curry spices and coconut milk, but not calling it curry, and just calling it hashtag the stew.
I feel like it's hard
Yeah.
too because it's like it's not like I guess it is a curry, but
Well,
it's
I feel
it's
like
pretty
the
it's
problem-
so Americanized.
Yeah, no, totally. Like if she called it like a curry, people might be more mad.
Yeah, people would be like that's
because it was like
not-
such a bad curry.
yeah.
Like,
It's a good stew, but it's a bad curry.
I think it's one of those things where it's not necessarily like all her responsibility. It's more of a systematic problem of like when people of color try to publish these recipes and like make them more traditional, or at least like explicitly say it's like from this culture, they might not become as popular, or the magazine they work for won't publish them, or they won't
Foreshadowing.
Or won't pay them to be in their videos.
Right.
for instance.
So
Yeah.
when
Random
Alison
example.
Roman makes the hashtag stew, we
Yeah.
lap it up.
We eat it up, literally. Yeah.
I do really like all of Alison Roman's sweets that she makes, though. I do like her sweets cookbook. It's very good.
I mean, I still love her recipes. I I feel like I do share, like I'm like, yes, I agree with all of your food takes pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like my flavor profiles are like very aligned with what she likes.
I mean, she's so
Yeah.
anchovy forward.
They're so
yeah, she's a
good.
fishy girl.
And she
So
just had
good.
her first baby. She had a baby.
Yay.
Yes, congrats.
Yeah.
I was also listening to some of her podcasts in preparation for this, and she has an advice podcast. Have you guys listened?
Yeah.
No.
I listen.
It is funny because people, I mean, it kind of expands not just to food, but people ask a lot about entertaining
Yeah.
and like hosting and stuff. But then in one of the holiday episodes, it went beyond even that, but questions about like attending parties. And this one person asked her like how to get a New Year's kiss. And I was like, why are you asking Alison Roman this?
That's so funny.
You get a New Year's kiss by preparing a salty, capery anchovy pasta and
You get a
serving it
New
to the
Year's
person you
kiss
like.
by throwing a ham party.
You get a New Year's kiss by spatchcocking a briny chicken.
The first food I ever made with my husband was we made the caramelized shallot pasta.
Now that's a marry me pasta.
Yep.
You know how
good
people
pasta.
have like marry
Yeah,
me chicken?
The marry me
Yeah.
chicken. I always want to make that and like because it looks like good, and I always want to cook with more like sun-dried tomatoes because I really like them. But I feel like it just never looks
You're
that
already
good when you
married.
make it, you know? Oh, you think it's because I'm not married? Should I get divorced first and then make it?
Yeah, why would you make if you make marry me chicken as a married woman, you might invite uninvited husbands or wives into your life.
That's so scary. No wonder why it's never worked.
Making Marry Me Chicken is like putting yourself on the waiver wire for like whoever wants to be with you.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Okay, this actually, we were going to do this later, but if we're talking Marry Me Chicken right now, this is really relevant to a game I've prepared for the episode. So can we play the game right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it's also Alison Roman related. My game is called Roman Horse, and that's kind of a Trojan horse reference because much like how the Trojan horse was fake, spoiler alert, if you haven't if you haven't watched the Trojan horse yet. So Roman horse, I'm going to name recipe names and then you guys tell me if it's a real or a fake Alison Roman recipe. And this game was born of the idea that we're like entering an era right now where I feel like all recipes have like the same kind of adjectives and like there's some trendy ingredients out there, you know.
Like if anyone's seen the meme, what is it? Kids in Park Slope are like, "Mommy, can we have the miso gochujang brown butter lemony pasta for dinner?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So ready?
Yeah.
Brothy favas with fermented black garlic.
I actually think I think that might be real. But I don't think that she would ferment garlic.
But I think you could buy fermented black garlic.
Oh, you think it's like store-bought fermented black garlic?
I think it's fake.
I think it's real.
It's fake.
Oh no.
Would you eat it?
Yeah.
I would eat it if it came from an Alison Roman cookbook.
Yeah.
But if I made it for you and it looked botched, you wouldn't eat it.
No, I mean, I
Black
would try
garlic
it.
swimming in a broth.
Okay, so that's 1 point for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be keeping score.
Okay. Marinated anchovies with bread and butter.
This is so stupid because it's like not a recipe.
I think
But
that
she
is a
does-
recipe. She does a lot of not recipes.
Yeah, like that one page in her cookbook that's like fruit on ice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kaya's like, no, that was my next one. She also, doesn't she have like a Sunday bar in your cookbook, Yarden? She has something weird like that. Or like
Something like that.
She has a martini
She has
bar.
martini bar, which honestly
Fun.
is kind of helpful because it tells you how to make batch martinis.
Okay, real or fake?
I'm gonna go fake again.
I'm going to go real again.
Real. 1 point, Meggie.
Nice.
Smothered potatoes.
Oh, that sounds real to me. But there's also like not enough adjectives, but I'm still gonna say real.
I'm going to say fake. I feel like she wouldn't smother them. I feel like she would give them a healthy amount of space to grow and be their own potato.
It's fake.
No way.
I'm like so pleased with the way that you guys are splitting on these.
Okay, so that's 2 points, Maggie. 1 point me.
Yeah. Okay. Frizzled chickpeas with onion and feta.
I've made
Kaya,
this.
please.
Yeah, I knew that Den had made it. I've made it too.
I actually have never made frizzled chickpeas, so I should.
They're good.
Yeah,
They're just sauteed, but they're good.
but like with a lot of oil.
Right.
That's what takes it from saute to frizzle, the oil. Okay. Gorgeous chili.
It sounds so fake that it must be real.
Yeah, I
'cause
think that's real. She did recently do home videos of chili, so I bet that that's real.
It's real. Congratulations. Point for both of you. Immolated octopus with herbs and cracked pepper.
Immolated.
I don't even know what that means.
It means when you set something on fire. But I think it means when it sets itself on fire. So like
This is definitely fake.
the octopus lit itself on fire so that you could eat it.
No, that's self-immolation.
Oh,
That's just like the only time we ever hear that word is when someone self-immolates.
okay. So immolation is just when something gets set on fire. Fake.
Yeah, you got me there. I feel like she does a lot of like verbs that like don't apply to food normally. So I was like,
Okay.
Or
I
like,
knew the word.
I'm trying to
I
think.
knew another one.
Like
Immolated.
rest.
Immolated.
Yeah,
was a good
doused.
word.
I don't actually think people use the word immolated without self in front of it, but you got me, Maggie.
She should make that recipe. I bet that would be really good.
But herbs and cracked pepper was like totally giving Alison Roman.
Oh
Right?
yeah, and she would like
Yeah.
grill an octopus and then just like have it simply with the herbs and the
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah.
And I
She
love
would totally
that
have it simply.
about her.
I do too.
Okay. Marry me beans.
No, that's a fake. I don't think she would do a marry me. Well,
I feel like she would do it as a joke, but she doesn't often cook with sun-dried tomatoes.
doesn't she have like a spaghetti that's like farewell spaghetti or something?
She has
It's
goodbye. She has goodbye meatballs.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Sounds so fake.
But the goodbye meatballs are
Good. So long, London. No. Goodbye, meatballs.
Goodbye meatballs. It's Taylor Swift's
Funny
new
how I was
song.
like so close, like farewell spaghetti. Nope, goodbye meatballs.
Yeah, they're so good. You guys should really make them. They're like amazing meatballs.
Maybe
So do you
next
think
time I
marry
have
me
to say
beans?
goodbye.
You
I
think they're real or
I think that's fake. You're done.
done?
I think it's fake.
Yeah, imagine my horror when you started talking about marry me chicken before I could get my marry me beans on the table. But honestly, mark my words, I think in the next year we will have marry me beans on TikTok somewhere.
I'm
Yeah.
really surprised if they already exist.
Yeah, probably. And they sound good to me.
What if I don't like beans?
Yeah, bean soup comments.
Yeah.
Do you know, Kaya? The bean soup comment?
Is this like when people comment and they're
And then
Like
they're
it'll
like,
be
go
like,
ahead.
this is a recipe for bean soup.
and it's like,
they'll
what if
be
I
like,
don't like
what
beans?
if I don't like beans? Yeah.
And it's just kind of the epidemic of people thinking everything needs to be exactly for them.
Yeah.
Totally. And like not being able to make, sometimes it's like the opposite of that, where it's like add dried cranberries to the salad. And then people will be like, I only have like dried raisins. Like, can I add
Yeah.
that instead? And it's like, yeah, add whatever you want.
Literally, do whatever you want. I feel like it's genuine in certain circumstances, like with baking, especially where you have to be really exact. Like, if
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
I don't have buttermilk, like, what can I use as a substitute?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the
'Cause-
only time.
Yeah. Well, and like sometimes, honestly, I feel like I'm one of those people who should actually be commenting that more because I get like so crazy with my substitutes that my food turns out like so disgusting so often.
Tell about that. That
Yeah,
thing you made recently.
I tried to make tortellini soup recently and I wanted like a brothy tortellini soup, but I Googled it and the first one that came up was like a creamy one. And I had just spent literally so much money at Trader Joe's, but I hadn't bought any of the ingredients for tortellini soup except
Right.
for tortellini. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just figure it out as I go. Like a real chef working from my pantry.
course.
And then I made so many
giving
substitutions,
chop.
but they were all it was so chopped. So like first I like didn't have white wine, and then I Googled, and it was like you can use apple cider vinegar instead of white wine, so I did that. And then like I didn't have heavy cream, so I used coconut cream.
Yeah.
And so then it actually was it was like the stew, it was kind of a curry. But like everything else in the soup was like Italian seasoning. Oh, and I didn't have Italian sausage because I don't eat meat, so I put soy chorizo in, and that was like a bit of a like Mexican flair. So it was just like so all over the place. And then the only thing I did follow in the recipe is it called for a half a cup of flour, which I added consistently. And it got so thick, it was like goop. It was like literally goop. Like it was the opposite of a brothy tortellini soup. And so I was like so bummed out about wasting the tortellini, but it was like literally inedible. So I just strained the soup and then rinsed the tortellini off in the strainer. And then I just had the tortellini like with olive oil and parm for the rest of the week.
It's so funny.
I know, the wash tortellini.
It's so funny. It's so funny to be like, I saw a video recently that was like, oh, I just remembered that I have free will and I can just like wash off the pasta.
That's literally what I did.
That's like
yeah,
what
it was
you did.
crazy.
It's just like so crazy to be like, oh yeah, you can just like clean it off. And it's
exactly.
just
I could just
the
rinse
same.
it.
Yeah.
It felt so bad though, because I had been cooking this stew or soup for like 2 hours, and then I just poured the whole thing down the drain and caught the tortellini in my strainer.
This
So
is
sad.
why I
terrible.
don't want to eat fermented black garlic brothy beans that you make.
Yeah,
Wait.
honestly, I get it. This is why Cookfluencer is not our scene. We're not good enough. We can't riff.
No, not yet.
Or do you have more game for us?
I have 2 more. Do we want more game, or we want to just move on?
Well, yeah, we want to
We
know
want
who
more
wins.
Okay. All right.
I forgot the scores, but I think you're one up.
Yeah, I think Meggie's one up. Vinegar chicken with crushed olives.
That's real.
Real.
You've made
It's
it.
the right flavors. I've never made it.
It's in the cookbook that I have.
Dining in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. Point for both of you. Okay. Capery, lemony, stinky, ugly tuna.
That's real.
That's so funny.
It's real.
Disgusting.
Point for both of you. It's real.
Disgusting poopy butt tuna.
Good job, guys.
Nice. Congrats, Meggie.
Thanks. What a game.
All right. Should we talk about the downfall of the Bone App test kitchen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I actually didn't really, I feel like I kind of missed the boat on this. But Bone App had also a pretty big peak in popularity around COVID, especially with their videos. Like they had their test kitchen videos. They were doing really well. People liked the individual chef personalities that would be in the videos, liked watching what they would make. And then in July of 2020, the Bone App editor-in-chief, Adam Rappaport, wrote a column about George Floyd's killing, his magazine's editorial mission, the intersection of justice, inequality, and its discontents. Then 2 weeks later, he resigned after being there for like 10 years. After a photo resurfaced of him in brownface. I had also never seen this photo. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't.
I have seen this photo, yeah.
It's like from his wife's Instagram, and it's a TBT that was posted in 2013, but I think it's actually from a lot earlier. But it's basically like him dressed up in like Puerto Rican stereotypes. It says like hashtag Boricua, which is like a slang for someone of Puerto Rican descent. And this guy is white and not Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. So it was a bad look.
I remember this.
Yeah. And so that kind of led to more of an investigation into his like what was going on under his leadership at Bonap, and specifically the assistant food editor Sola, who was one of the Cookfluencers that was featured in the test kitchen videos. She posted that she'd basically been used in the videos as a display of diversity, but her appearances were unpaid, unlike the star cast of white employees, and a bunch
Which
of
is
other
like
staffers
so
corroborated.
crazy. Like that's so crazy because these people were like so famous. Like I feel like I was engaging with the Bon Appetit kitchen editors and chefs like they were like red carpet celebrities. Like I was so aware of these people, and the idea that she wasn't getting paid, like she was making so much money for like what,
Yeah.
it's owned by Vogue or
Condé
Condé
Nast.
Nast. Yeah.
Condé Nast, yeah. Like they were getting millions of views. It's
I'm sure,
so
yeah.
messed up.
Well, and wasn't
Yeah, I
she
feel like-
she didn't have like her own show, but it was like she was like clearly one of the most popular people, like even in consideration of the people who had shows, like to not even
Yes.
give her a show.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a classic. Like, you assume that just because someone is famous, that they're making a lot of money,
Yeah.
but it's not always the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say this is not that relevant, but when I was watching the Grammys this weekend and Chapel Roan talked about like artists not having health care,
Oh yeah.
Benson Boone stood up and like really clapped, and it like made me so sad because I started thinking about like how he's doing all these backflips all the time, and like what if he doesn't even have health insurance? But
Yeah.
he probably is covered. I think I was just projecting on like his expression, and but
I mean, I'm sure he's clapping because he has been in that position, even if he's not currently. Like,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, and he really puts his body on the line with those flips.
does.
So
Who's Benson Boone?
he's the one who's like, "Do you want to
He
sing
has
it, Den?"
one popular song.
It's
I
kind of
can't
like
sing it.
Imagine Dragons.
I feel like the mic will like freak out if I sing it. It's on
It's
like
like,
a lot of like TikToks.
yeah, it's called Beautiful Things. It's very like Imagine Dragons, kind of like rock coded,
Okay, cool. I'll look.
but we can't sing it or the mic will freak out. That tells you everything you need to know about the tone of the song.
Yeah, it's giving me a lot of info.
Okay, anyways,
And okay, so
Bone Up.
yeah. Also, Sola did get her bag eventually. I watched that show, The Big Brunch, that she was a judge on. That was fun.
Cool. And I think she had videos with she like collaborated with Binging with Babish, another very famous cookfluencer.
Oh.
So they had like some kind of collaboration for a while. Also, I follow all these people on Instagram now, so hopefully they're getting some money from Instagram
From
followers.
you.
From your follow.
From me.
Yeah, like a bunch of other stuff came out. A bunch of other staffers corroborated Sola's story, and like also his personal assistant, who is Black, said he was only paid $35,000 a year with no raises for over 2.5 years, even though
Living
he
in
did
New
things,
York.
Yeah, even though he did things beyond editorial assistant duties, like cleaning his golf clubs and teaching his wife how to set up a Google Calendar.
The fuck?
Oh, the second one is so specific.
Yeah.
I know. Like, he'd been like, and I even set up her Google Calendar.
Totally.
That's terrible.
That's so brutal. Bon Appetit is so interesting because I feel like it's like it really kind of kicked off this idea that chefs could be influencers and have like social media presences in this way. And now we live in this age of like so many cookfluencers on Instagram and TikTok, and they really paved the path.
Yeah, I feel like people have been consuming like cooking content for a long time. Like even on social media, like I was thinking about those tasty videos that used to be all over like Facebook. Like there was a time when I would open Facebook and it was all tasty videos, which are those little short videos that BuzzFeed made
Yeah.
of recipes. And I feel like that was kind of before its time, like before short form content was really took off. But those were
Yeah.
all faceless pretty much. So it was not about the personality. It was just like making the food.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird too because some of those people like now like are on TikTok, and then it's like they're like, and yeah, I made the tasty videos, and it's like, oh, I never thought that you existed as a person. Like those were your hands. Oh, but I wanted to bring up, in terms of whether or not we think Bon Appetit has actually changed any of their practices. So I feel like we haven't been hearing much about Bon Appetit. I don't know about you, but like since this big thing happened, I feel like you weren't hearing like their interactions with these other cookfluencers or anything like that. Like it's not like they've signed anyone big or like changed like in the wake of TikTok. Like I don't even know if they have a TikTok. But this thing I just saw that like literally yesterday or 2 days ago, this girl that I follow that's like a TikTok cookfluencer named Wishbone Kitchen. Her name's like Meredith.
Love.
Meredith.
She's the one that's like a personal chef, right?
Yeah, so she used to be a personal chef in the Hamptons, and so she like popularized that whole like narrative arc, I guess. And then and she actually used to work at Condé Nast before, but like just like normal Condé Nast, and then she went to like chef school, to cooking school, and then she started doing private chefing. And she doesn't do private chef like personal chefing anymore, and she just bought a house in the Hamptons and stuff. So it seems like she's like clearly doing very well. And she's like really, I think, also blown up in like the past like 6 months. But she started in the past year this like video series called Dinner with Friends. And the idea is just like she like shows you how she does a dinner party. Because I feel like she's kind of styling herself as more of like a Martha Stewart type. So like she really emphasizes the like entertaining aspect of it. But
she could tell you how to get a New Year's kiss.
No, she actually, I feel like that is like the vein that she's trying to get into. Because
I remember when Meredith like started as a private chef-fluencer, she would also always like show herself like cutting like harvesting the vegetables in the morning. So I feel like that's also more Martha Stewart, like very pleasing, like this could be your life type content.
It's almost like the trad wife content, but instead of for your husband, like for a job.
Yeah. One way and that I think is good in her content is it's like very clearly her job. You know what I mean? Which I feel like it's like kind of like satisfying to like watch and be like, oh, like this is her job. Like it's very clearly hard, but like she does like make cool things. But
yeah, totally.
Her obviously Dinner with Friends is a little more aspirational. But basically, Bon Appetit sent out an email this past week, and they are doing their own YouTube channel called Dinner with Friends.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
That's
and it's
crazy.
And it's even like the logo is like similar colors to hers. And so like hers is like pinks and reds, and like theirs is like a similar font and also pink and red. And apparently this is from Meredith's TikTok about this situation, but apparently the post that they made on Instagram to like advertise their dinner with friends is like, yeah, hop in the group chat and like text about dinner with friends. And I don't know if you guys follow Wishbone Kitchen Substack, but the name of the Substack is called the group chat.
Oh my gosh.
So it's crazy.
Not My Scene stands with Meredith. That is so messed up.
I can't believe they would do something like this after we had just forgotten about their other problematic stuff.
I know.
Right.
But it's crazy too, because she was like, yeah, like I like tried to work for Bon Appetit for like 2 years and they never hired me. So I just like went out and did my own thing. And she's like, well, now that I've done my own thing, It's
They
not
just are gonna
taken.
steal it rather than like hire me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just like in, did you guys, Problemista?
Probably. I was literally thinking that, Kaya. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thought that was very hot off the press.
That is
It
hot off the
is.
press.
Scenester sisters rise to defend Meredith. We stand with Wishbone Kitchen.
Tag Meredith. Tell her you stand with her. And not my scene pod.
Flood the comments of the Bone App videos
Yes.
and say, this is stealing from Wishbone Kitchen.
Yes.
I've
On
been
our
talking about
word.
it in my group chat.
Okay, but Meredith also brings me to like this other category that we now have of, it's interesting. There's like TikTok home chefs who are like really good, like Wishbone Kitchen. Well, she does it for her job, so I don't even really know what you would call that. But like Justine Snacks, I love her videos,
her,
and she's
yeah.
totally like self-taught. And I like those videos. But then there's also like TikTok not home chefs who make viral recipes that then go like just like influencers who every once in a while like, shoot something out into the internet. And like I have been burned before
Yeah.
so badly. Like, did you guys see how people were saying hearts of palm were just like mozzarella sticks? And like, I
Oh my
knew
God.
it wasn't going to be like that. Like, I've had hearts of palm so many times. I was like, I know this is nothing like that. Like, this is slimy and crunchy and acidic. And I still tried it and it tasted like shit.
No, people will try to do substitutions just because it like, kind of looks the same when it tastes nothing
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I saw
The watermelon.
the watermelon, the vegan ahi tuna.
The watermelon tuna. It's like, it's like we know in our minds what watermelon tastes like. We know it's not going to taste like fish. But also that recipe is crazy because people will bake watermelon for like 4 hours to try to get it to tuna consistency, which is like such a wasteful thing to do. Like that is so much energy for vegan tuna that's not even
just
going
to have
taste
like gelatinous hot watermelon.
So gross.
I do think there's an issue with people like prioritizing how something looks in a short form video versus
Yeah.
like how it
Yeah.
actually tastes for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say, shout out Emily Mariko's salmon rice bowl. I eat that like once a week still.
Oh,
And it's
I love
2025.
that. I make that too still.
Yeah. Emily
good.
Mariko is funny because I feel like some of her posts, I feel like she does like rage baity stuff sometimes. Like people always are like commenting about her like pumpkin pie from like 2 years ago. That was like really gross
Right.
and watery.
It was undeveloped.
Not it was like definitely not
funny.
cooked.
Yeah. No, I like that. That she's like in on the joke.
Yeah.
She has like 6 million followers, so it doesn't really matter.
She's like,
what we think
whatever.
of her pumpkin pie.
You can think you can think that I got a stomach ache from eating a wet pumpkin pie.
I don't care. I'll go to Nobu.
I just didn't need to eat it.
There's also like I feel like the category of influencers who aren't quite doing full on recipes. It's less cooking and more assembling and like a lot of snack plates and sandwiches and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I think it's a lot of times like really hot girls and they're like they're just putting together, I mean, it honestly looks really good, but a lot of really kind of trendy flavors and foods. Like I feel like this has been said a lot before, but there's like the Gen Z version of the millennial trendy foods, which were like, what were they, like tacos, bacon, cupcakes,
Avocado toast.
avocado toast, and now it's like tinned fish, pickles, olives, like
Caviar.
anything. Yes, Caesar everything, and like dirty martinis.
Yeah.
And have you seen all of the crazy?
Aged cheese.
Yes, like really like savory and vinegary flavor
The youth
palette.
yearn
Yeah.
for savory food. I do too.
Me too. My mouth is kind of watering talking about it.
I'm thinking about those olives in Yarden's fridge.
Have you seen that girl? I've seen her on Instagram Reels, but I think she is big on TikTok. She's really into like that whole savory thing, and she will make a lot of like crazy dirty martinis, like Caesar dirty martinis, but then she'll also
Yes.
do the converse and like make like dirty martini themed nachos.
Wait, that's
Oh, I haven't seen the
crazy.
dirty martini themed nachos.
That's
But
so
I've seen
funny.
like sometimes the martinis are like chunk. They're like so
Yeah.
opaque.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know.
I have
Curdled.
seen one of the martinis actually.
Yeah. Martini bar.
That'll be the first thing I put on it.
Batch Caesar martini with like chunks in the at the bottom of the jug.
It's a crowd pleaser. Make it for a party.
No, no, no. These are anchovies swimming in the jar.
The vodka in the jar is actually it's curing the tinned fish. You put live anchovies in, and by the time you drink the martini, they're tinned.
I've been working on this batch martini for days.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's like the plates are almost more about the aesthetic of like it's kind of like oh, this is a medieval plate of food
With like a
or,
hunk of really good bread.
yes. It's very
Yeah.
like Gabriette too. Like I feel like
Yes.
she got big doing food like that kind of.
Totally.
Yeah, but I love it. I eat it up. It's yummy
know.
food. I do like this trend a little bit because I feel like these girls doing these really savory snack plates, it feels like a healthier relationship to food than maybe
Yeah. I mean,
other
there's
kinds of food.
definitely not, I feel like they're not putting any emphasis on the food being like low calorie or anything like that. Like there's no,
Yeah.
it's all about like the food just like tasting good, which I like.
and it being like rich, but they are like really hot when they make
I
it.
know that's the thing. Like if it was like not a thin person making it, like all the comments would be different.
Yeah, probably, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, would you guys be cookfluencers? Do you think you could get into this scene?
I don't think I could because for a while on my Instagram reels, it was all about high protein, low sugar desserts. And it was all very cottage cheese forward.
Yeah.
And
Obviously.
I tried to make that cottage cheese ice cream and I tried to film it for UNT and it really didn't go well. And I think that was like my shot.
Yeah, I think I also couldn't be part of this scene for the aforementioned washed tortellini reason. Like, I just feel like I'm not good enough. I'm like pretty good at cooking when I follow recipes, but I don't have like the intuition to be coming up with things on my own. So if I can't do that, I would either have to make disgusting recipes or I would get canceled for copying other people. But I love consuming cookfluencer content.
So, Meggie,
Would I be a cookfluencer? I feel like I don't think I like want to be recorded that bad, but I feel like I would dabble more in like I would consider like doing like the food writing.
yeah.
I think that's probably like the most that I could get into. Like I know Yarden, you really like the food critic stuff, and I
Yeah.
feel like that's like an offshoot of that. Like
True.
Priya Krishna is who like wrote Indianish, and she's like also like was one of the BA people.
Yeah.
Love her.
She's a food critic right now, and like I feel like
They
that
talked,
would be-
she, in the Vox article I read about the downfall, they talked about her and like how basically they wouldn't let her like publish her Indian recipes, but then would use the techniques in other ones.
yeah,
Dude.
and her cookbook's really good.
Yeah, I like her food. I watch her videos sometimes.
Well, these cookfluencers can be most comforting.
They can.
It is so nice.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Thanks,
This was
Maggie, for coming
fun.
on. This
Thanks
was
for
so
having
fun.
me. This was super fun. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about cookfluencers. I love them.
You're welcome
Aw.
back anytime. And for listeners, if you have any questions or things you want us to talk about, remember to email us at notmyscenepod@gmail.com and rate, subscribe, tell your friends.
Thank you.
Any ideas that you have about why that guy made his wife take the egg to the bathroom? We would also like to hear about that. Okay,
Crazy.
bye.
Bye.